congratulations to you both on a huge home victory. Jarod, just how much did you need that?
Yeah, massively. It's obviously been a difficult period, but, when I've spoke to you and, spoke to the lads as well, it's the same thing. We're the only ones that can change it. We've got to put a performance. We've got to go out there and do what we know that we're capable of. And I thought we'd done that, going 1-0 down, getting a penalty that on another day we might get, mine it in the post. Sometimes you think, is our luck going to change? But we stuck at it. And then, we go on and get a comfortable win.
I mean, it must have felt like everything was against you in those first few minutes. Where have you found it in yourselves to dig deep and turn that around?
I know we've got that as a group, but we just haven't shown it enough recently. And I think the more we realise what we have in this group, the potential that we can go to, yes, it's been frustrating, but I say to the players all the time, we've got so much potential in this squad. We have to understand it and go out there and show it. It's our stage. We can do all the tactics in the world, but once we go out, it's us playing football and doing what we love. And today was, a start for that, I thought.
Luca, what worked today? Where do you think it was clicking in that attacking unit in particular?
Yeah, I think today you have shown your character. You play positive and stay focused on the game in the end. And you play really well, and 3 points. Gonna be hard, but have to stay together, everyone, and keep going.
Your goal, a quality finish. It looked like it meant a lot to you. It was a special goal to score for West Ham in the difficult times you've been in.
Yeah, sometimes I try to pass, but Jarod and the other players say to me, try to shoot, and I start to try, and I'm happy to score and help the team.
I guess the question now, Jarod, is this lift-off? Can this be a catalyst now for West Ham to put out a performance like that at home in front of your fans?
Well, it has to be. We've got another home game next week, and the pressure's on us again to deliver. And that's the standard, that's the level, that's the benchmark of every game that we have to play. The commitment, the desire, and then the quality will always show through. But I think you have to have that hunger, that desire in the first place to give you the platform to go out. So we have one more game before international break, a home game, which is massively important. But we enjoy this win, but we know that we have another massive game next week that we need to take 3 points from again.
Well done to you both. Go and enjoy those celebrations.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you.
Paqueta talking about character, and Bowen mentioning as well, when things are going against you, they hit the post, scored, conceded early on, didn't get that penalty, which he said on some occasions you might get. The psychology of having to fight back after all of that.
Yeah, we've seen over the season some really weak performances by West Ham, and they started the game today and you thought, well, there's real trouble here, but I think in some ways they got fortunate. They come up against a very lacklustre Newcastle side that once they took the lead, they never went on and forced their superiority on the game, and West Ham grew into it, and come the end of the game, I think they were quite comfortable in defending any Newcastle attack.
Yeah, we heard from Paqueta there. Let's look at his goal, because that started the fight back. First from the goal scorer's point of view, Al, and then the goalkeeper's involvement.
Yeah, Newcastle will look at it and think they could and should do better in so many areas. One, the goalkeeper should catch it. Two, Bruno should close them down quicker, and then the goalkeeper should stop it again, I think. But West Ham won't care one bit about that, and it's a good strike. You can't blame him for not being closed down. He's got to hit the target. He certainly did. That was a good strike, and yeah, I think they deserved it, West Ham, today. They were the better team. They had the better attitude. They had more energy than Newcastle did. And they had a great character, because it was tough to begin with them going 1-0 behind. They get that goal. And, I mean, that sort of summed Newcastle up today. All over the pitch, all over the place. I mean, Burn and Gordon didn't really have a clue what was going on. He's got to try and stop that Botman. He did, and unfortunately for him, it goes in the back of the net. But West Ham deserved that. They were the better team, though, the vast majority of the game. They found it tough in the first few minutes, but great character after that.
And then Soucek just putting the icing on the cake there with this goal. Wondered if it would be offside. It wasn't. It stood 3-1.
And look at the energy. We spoke before the game about the energy of Soucek going from box to box. He's made up more ground than any player and got his reward for it. Normally you see him chasing back and getting in really good defensive positions. But look, he set sail there. He's covered the best part of 80 yards to get up and support this attack. And when the ball just dropped there, I think he was second favourite, but he managed to get there because he had momentum. Credit to him for it. And just about summed the game up, really. And, well, at that stage, West Ham got a 3-1 victory. Whether they deserved a 3-1 victory, we don't know, but they certainly were the better side on the day.
Yeah, both of you have said that. You've said, West Ham went behind early, but they did show character, they did battle back, they were the better side. How huge is this, just in the context of their season moving forward? And did they show today what many have been calling for them to show, just the kind of energy you'd mentioned?
I think energy, one thing for West Ham, but fighting spirit has been lacking this season. If you ask any of the fans, they'll say, hang on, when we go, a bit of adversity comes against us, where are the leaders within the group? Where's the energy within the group? And it's sadly been missing. I don't think it was today. And to be fair, I think Nuno will come and look at his team in the dressing room and say, this is the benchmark that we need to achieve week in, week out.
So Newcastle had gone ahead and then conceded twice before the halfway mark. Did you expect more from them in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, the first half was poor. Second half was probably worse, which I didn't expect. I thought Eddie would have got into his players at half-time. He made 3 changes, which we felt he had to do just to shake things up. But he didn't create anything, and it would be a real concern, their away form. As I said 2 or 3 minutes ago, you're driven on at home by your own fans at St James's Park. It's different when you go away from home. You've got to find your own energy. You've got to find your own spark, even when it's not going for you like it wasn't today. And I didn't see any positive today from any Newcastle player. All of them looked tired. They all looked leggy, which they shouldn't do, because there's only half the team played in midweek in the Carabao as well, So, yeah, he's got issues away from home, certainly, Eddie Howe, that he has to try and work out.
Yeah, there was in the second half just 1 shot on target, 5 shots for Newcastle. Must have been so frustrating, especially that they didn't threaten at set pieces. We've seen what West Ham have been like from those situations.
Well, he was searching for something. He changed the system at half time. He went to 3 at the back, 2 wing backs. That didn't work. 15 minutes later, he went back to a back 4. But having said all that, they still had the height. And when you look at the problems that West Ham have had this season, particularly from set pieces, I would have thought with the power and the strength and the height that Newcastle have, then they would have caused far more problems than they did with the set pieces that they had. But they were poor in every department. They had nothing in goal. They had nothing in the midfield, really poor defensively, and offered very, very little in set pieces and up front, which is why he made so many changes.
Yeah, their struggles on the road continue. That's now 8 away from home without a victory. That's their Premier League away results this season. As I mentioned, Alan, 209 days since they last won away from home.
Yeah, you've got to dig deep away from home. You've got to put in that little bit extra, because when things are not going for you at home, you're rode on by your crowd, and the crowd bring a certain energy, and also the crowd bring a demand from you that you're not allowed to get away with things that you perhaps can away from home. So you need that little bit of spark, that little bit of extra thing that's going to put you into the performance. But I'm not seeing that away from home from Newcastle. I'm seeing players being lazy. I'm seeing players not track back, and I'm certainly looking at a Newcastle that is a lot easier to play against away from home than they are at home.
OK, so it's job done for West Ham.